Hello and welcome to another USCutter video. I'm Josh with USCutter, and today we're going to show you around each edition of our VinylMaster software. To make sure that you have the latest version of the VinylMaster installed so that you can follow along with me, just head on over to this website right here or to the link down in the video description down below and then enter your PSN number. It will then provide you with a link to download the most recent version and install from there. The first edition of VinylMaster that we will cover is the VinylMaster Cut edition. This is the standard version of the VinylMaster software that we include with each of our cutters, excluding GraphTech and Roland, for no additional cost as their PC software option. With VinylMaster Cut, the main features are you can create basic designs and cut them with ease. It also allows you to import advanced designs and other file formats by converting .png, .jpeg, .pdf, and also .jpeg files. You can also import and cut .svg and .plt files with ease as well. All you have to do is bring those in and resize them, and it works just fine. VinylMaster Cut also supports print and cut for machines that do support that. So if you have a vinyl cutter that does have contour cutting features, then it can work with VinylMaster, manual or automatic arms. So once we've got VinylMaster Cut open, we should take some time to get to know the basic layout of what everything is on the main design screen. This big open area is your design space that you will be doing all of your work on. If you're working with some of the image file types that I mentioned before, you can just drag and drop those onto this screen and they'll automatically open. Now there's a lot of stuff surrounding the main design area, so let me add a little labeling to make things a little bit easier for you. Starting from the top, we've got the static toolbar. It has that name because it's always going to stay the same. Below that is the dynamic toolbar. The dynamic toolbar will change depending on what you have selected on your screen. To the left of that, we have the selection and design tools, which is where you're going to spend most of your time. Now, below that on the bottom left, we have the options to add, remove pages, and then also go forward and backwards through those pages once you've added them. On the bottom right, we have our image view. That way you can change it to a view wireframe, colored wireframe, or cut path. And then below that, you've got the zoom keys if you want to do a quick zoom. Then on the right side, you have the slide toolbar. Now, currently the slide toolbar just looks like a bunch of colors, but that's because we actually haven't opened up everything on the screen yet. And let me just go ahead and show you how to do that. In the static toolbar, you have a little blue arrow in between the clipboard and contour cut apple. If you click that, that will expand it and give you a few more options. To the right of that, we have two options. The first blue triangle will open up and show you the Objects tab. The second is the Tools triangle, and clicking that will open up the Tools tab and has lots of different options there. Now let's apply the labels one more time, that way you can see the Page and Objects toolbar, as well as the Slide toolbars. You can also see that the Zoom button has moved as well too. So you can see we've got the general layout of VinylMaster all opened up and expanded now. So now let's take a closer look at each of these areas in further detail, starting with the Selection and Design tools. I've gone ahead and created labels for each of the Selection and Design tools to guide us as we go along. Let's go ahead and start with the very first tool, the Selection tool. This will allow you to select items on screen, and if you hold down the mouse button and drag it across the screen, it will create a box and select everything inside that box. Let's go ahead and get some stuff on the screen to start showing you some examples. With all of this fun stuff on the screen, I can use the Selection tool to click on all the different types of things. One thing to point out is that you will notice that the dynamic toolbar found right up top changes depending on whatever I have selected. It will provide you with specific information and options for whatever you have selected. Over on the Selection and Design toolbar, we have the Node Selection tool located right below the Selection tool. Let's take a look at the farmer on the tractor down below, and whenever I select this farmer vector with the Node Selection tool, you'll see that I've got all these little dots what are known as nodes, all around it, and I can then click on them and move them however I like. Now, one thing you will notice when you're using the node selection tool is that when you click on a vector, it will only show the nodes around the area you selected. Let's move over here to the USCutter logo so I can give you a better example of that. If I click right here near the outside of the USCutter image, you'll notice that the nodes only appear around the outside of the image. But if I move in closer around the letters and click closer to that, you'll notice that the outside of the letters now show the nodes, and I can edit and move them however I like. And it's kind of the same if I go and click on the inside of the letters. You'll notice that I now have those nodes appear. Now that's showing you an example of how it works on vectors. Let's go ahead and click some text. You'll notice when I click the text, it gives me some nodes here, but they have a little bit different functions than some of the ones that we've been using already for the vectors. The node selection tool allows me to change the distance in between each of the letters with ease whenever I use it on normal text. Now, speaking of text, it's a nice time to move over to the text tool that's located down below the node selection tool. With VinylMaster Cut, you have the ability to do artistic text and vertical text. Artistic text is your normal style of typing. If you want to hold down your left mouse button over the text tool, it opens up a drop-down menu, and then from there you can select vertical text or you can toggle between the two. Vertical text is going to just be your basic hotel text that goes down like so. Below the text function, we have the power shapes. Power shapes are one of my favorite tools. In VinylMaster Cut, they give you access to the square, circle, and then arrow power shapes. The square has an option to adjust a negative space from the center and another to adjust the roundness of the edge, making it really easy and helpful if you're going to be designing signs or other logos like that for shirts. They also have a circle and arrow power shapes that have some additional nodes that allow you to edit them like so. It also comes really in handy if you're making a lot of letter C's. Now the arrow, it has a couple of different nodes that allow you to adjust, the width and length, and then also how far the point goes out, so you can make a custom arrow with ease. Underneath the power shape tool is the teddy bear that has all of your clip art and basic shapes. You will get more of these with the LTR, Pro, and DSR editions of VinylMaster, but Cut comes with a decent selection of clip art to start off with and a few more basic shapes. Below that we have the magnifying glass tool. This is one of many ways that you can zoom in and out on your project. I personally use the mouse wheels for all my zooming in and out needs, but you can use this if you like. Below the magnifying glass, we have the pen tools. We have the line tool, freehand, curve, and polyline tools. The line tool is great for making straight lines and really comes in handy when placing folds or cuts for a box die. The options in the dynamic toolbar also allow you for extra control over all of these tools. The freehand tool lets you draw freehand, so you can be as sloppy as you want. The curve tool allows you to make a curved line between a few points. You can stop anytime by clicking the stop button located in the dynamic toolbar. Polyline creates straight lines from point to point and is really easy to use. Below all of our pen tools, we have the distortion and outline tools. These are fun tools that can help give your graphics cool design looks with ease. Just select whatever you want to apply the effect to with the selection tool and then select the module you want to use. Let's start with the outline tool on this. You can see that it will open up the outline tool in the sidebar over on the right side. Over here, we can make adjustments to the outline and also change the edges and color of the outline from here. At the bottom, we also have an option to open the outline module, and this will open a pop-up that gives you a live preview of the outline in real time. Next, we have the distortion module. This allows you to distort vector images with some presets or move them around to create your own distortion effect of your choice. Just make sure that you have every item selected if they are ungrouped. Once the distortions are made, you can use the node selection tool to edit them and move them around however you like. Below that, we have our weld and combine and break tools. To show you an example of the weld tool, I'm going to put some text together and then switch it over to view the cut paths. Those little buttons in the bottom right hand corner will change that to the wireframe, and I will explain that a little bit later in the video. When I do switch it over to the wireframe, you can see the cut path that the cutter blade is going to take, and you can see that we're going to cut through some of the letters several times and just make a giant mess. To fix this, we want to select everything with the selection tool and select weld from the left side, and then you can see that it combines all of the letters and simplifies the cut path without us having to worry about it cutting through anything. You always want to try and check this before sending it to the cutter if you can remember. Then the next option is to combine them, and the best example I can give you of that is just by taking these two rectangles, selecting both of them, and then hitting the combine button. So below that we have our line and space tools, and these will open up in the slide toolbar on the right side. This will allow you to align objects with the page, or if you have a group of objects selected, you can align them with each other. Then finally we have the guides option, which is all the way down at the bottom. This will allow you to place guides in your design to help keep things aligned for when you're creating your designs and making sure everything's nice and even. That's going to cover the design tool side. Let's take a move up top to the static toolbar. And the very first thing that we're going to look at in the static toolbar is going to be the new job button. That just opens up new jobs, nothing more to that. Next to that is going to be the open recent job button. And that's basically just going to have all of your recent jobs that you've worked on so that you can easily select it right there. To the right of that, we have the save button that allows you to save your work. And then to the right of that, we have your print button. You can print whatever job you have on your screen directly to whatever desktop printer you have connected to your computer. To the right of the print button, we have the send to the cutter button. This is what you'll press when you're ready to send a cutting or plotting job directly to your vinyl cutter. It will then open up a pop-up window, which we will discuss in further detail when we go through a cut together later in this video. Next to that, you have the other kind of cut, which you use with the copy and paste, which are conveniently located right next door. The clipboard option is going to be your paste, and it actually holds a few different items that you've copied recently, and they will open up and show in a separate pop-up window. To the right of that, we have the order button, and the order button allows you to move whatever you have selected in front or behind, however many layers of any other objects that are in the same design as well. Just make sure that they are ungrouped, because if you have a group of objects grouped, it will move them all together as one object. So keep that in mind. Next to that is the snap down button. It's a drop down, and it will allow you to turn on and off if you want your object to snap onto these. So if you want your object to snap next to other objects, the lines, or maybe the grid, you can do that here. To the right of that is the contour cut button. Now, this is what you would do if you're looking to do print and cut. We already have individual videos for each one of our vinyl cutters that go into detail showing you this process, and I've linked them down in the video description below if you want to check those out. Next to that is our outline module. You may recognize this from before, and it's just another way to access the module that allows you a live preview directly without having to go to the slide menu. Next to that is the undo and redo buttons. I personally use keyboard commands, Control-Z to undo and then Control-Y to redo. So I don't really use those myself, but that's where they're located if you want. Finally, we have the Launchpad. The Launchpad has several options like the vinyl spooler, submit feedback buttons, and if you want to see the launch screen gateway, and then settings and preferences. The most commonly used feature out of this Launchpad menu will be the vinyl spooler. The vinyl spooler is where you would add a new cutter by installing the drivers and then also make sure that it has a proper connection. You would use it for a USB connection as well as a local area network connection. If you'd like to see more information on this and how the process is done, I've already made a video dedicated on this subject that you can check out at this link above, and then also found in the video description down below. That covers the static toolbar up top. Let's discuss some of these shortcuts down below, starting in the bottom left-hand corner where we can add new pages and then move through the pages using the arrows. This makes it so you don't have to keep creating new jobs and can have multiple pages with multiple designs. Moving over to the bottom right side of things, we have another place to zoom in and out from, and it has a few presets that will zoom in and out however you like, but I still prefer to use the mouse scrolling wheel. A little further over, we have our outline options that I briefly mentioned before. The default mode is the filled mode we have here, but you also have the wireframe mode, color wireframe mode, which makes the wireframes whatever color you have them set to. Then we have the cut path that we used to show the welding technique earlier. Moving up along the right side, you have your color selection. You can pick all types of colors here, and then right above the color selection, we have the eyedropper. The eyedropper allows you to pull a color from any image that you have inside of VinylMaster. All you have to do is hold down your mouse button when you click the eyedropper, and then release your mouse button above whatever color you want it to choose. It will then put the color over here in the top right hand corner, and then you can just click it and apply it to whatever you like. Above the eyedropper, we have the option to change the line style. The default line style is style 1, but you can see we've got a lot to choose from here. Above that, we have a button that will toggle the wireframe for an individual object that you have selected. Right above that, we have the tool that will allow you to assign the line type. You will use this to assign a line type as a fold, contour cut, perf cut, and you can also change the type of fill from this menu as well too. You just want to make sure that you have the line selected with the selection tool before you go and assign it. Then to the left of that, we have the shortcut to the color fill slide menu. And then right underneath that, you have your color library option. You can use this to match up to your favorite brand of vinyl for more accurate color schemes that'll show up on your computer screen, or even make your own color schemes. And now for the last part of the layout, the drop-down menus. File is going to have all of your basic stuff like save and open, but also import and export. And you can also deal with your backups here. Next to that, we have the Edit menu. Most of these shortcuts can be found in other places that we've already reviewed, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next drop-down menu, and then that's going to be your View menu. Here you can switch to the wireframes, you can do the zoom, and also turn on the grid, guides, and many other things. The next drop-down is the Layout drop-down. Most of these commands we've already gone over in other places, but you can also rename a page here or even switch the page orientation. Next, we have the Arrange drop-down menu, and this is the one that I use the most. Here you can mirror and rotate objects, which is a must-have if you're going to be doing HTV or creating designs for laser transfer. You can also fit things to scale here, and it also has some other features that we've seen before, like order, align, and distribute. In the next Objects drop-down menu, we can place registration marks, a weeding box around an object. We can also weld and use the outline module. Next, we have the Images drop-down menu, and here we can import images, paste images, make minor adjustments, but most importantly, we can do the vectorization here. To use the vectorization tool, you must have a JPEG, PNG, or JPG file selected or imported into your screen, and you want to have it selected using the selection tool, or it will not allow you to use the vectorization tool. You can find the vectorization tool in this drop-down menu or on the dynamic toolbar whenever you have an image selected that can be vectorized. I've already made a video on vectorization that shows this process in full detail multiple times, and I'll go ahead and link those above and down in the video description down below. The next drop-down menu is the text menu, and it will only let you use it when you have some form of text selected with the selection tool. Next to that, we have the curves menu. We have the basic stuff here like combine and break apart, but this is also a very important drop-down menu when you're going to be doing some serious node editing. Because we all know that you might have a friend or customer that's going to bring you a terrible image that you're going to have to spend some time fixing it. And that's what this section's for. We'll show you a little bit more when we go into create a basic design later, but for now, let's go ahead and move over to the colors drop-down. Here you have the color mixer that will allow you to choose and create a custom color for whatever item you have selected. And then there's also more of the fill options that we've already gone over before as well too. Next to that is the tools drop-down menu, and this is just another place to find everything we've already gone through. And you can also find the settings menu here as well. The Windows drop-down menu will have options for multiple jobs if you're going to have those open in VinylMaster, but as you know, I like to use the page method. Next to that, we have the help menu. Here you can find the help guide, video tutorials from the actual creators of the program that are much better than this video here, support options, and if you want to see a startup gateway again, that pop-up that came at the beginning of the program when you started up, you can click it here, and that's the gateway. This also has the About page, and if you ever need to copy down your PSN or check your version number, this is where you're going to do that. Now, the last thing that I want to show you before we cut something together is the cutting screen. When sending stuff to the cutter, if nothing is selected in VinylMaster, it will then send everything on the screen, or that page, that is ready to cut to the vinyl spooler. If you only want to cut a specific part, then select that on the screen and then send it to the cutter using the button above. The cutter button above will give you 3 options when selected. For this demonstration, we are going to select the second option, Send to Cutter. This will open the Send to be Cut pop-up window. I'm using the MH cutter that has a cutting width of 24 inches. It's the 721. So I have that model selected up top. If you do not install your cutter correctly when you first installed the VinylMaster software, you can watch this quick cuts video I made showing you how to connect your vinyl cutter to the computer. Now, let me explain the General tab on the Send to be Cut pop-up window a little bit for you. This is the main tab that we're going to be focused on when cutting. Up top, you have the general information about the machine and your media width, as well as the job name. You can also increase the quantity of jobs cut here as well. Below are some of my favorite checkboxes. The first box is the rotate box. I use a lot of smaller sheets of vinyl when I'm cutting, so the rotate box gives me a quick way to swap the rotation. That way I can save on the amount of vinyl that I'm cutting, like say if I'm cutting a roll, or if I'm cutting a sheet, then I can just switch the direction of it without having to actually manually switch the image inside the original file. Next up is the Advanced After Plot box. Do you want your machine to return to the origin point, or would you like it to move up to the next area where you could possibly do another cut or whatever else you wanted to do next? On the next row, we have the Mirror box. You can use this if you forgot to mirror your job on the main edit screen. Just make sure that you pay attention and don't mirror it twice like somebody that you might know. Next, we have the General Options part of the General tab. The first box is the Mixed Job, Draw and Cut. Do you need to do some plotting on paper followed by some cutting? This is for you. I know some people that make dresses that use this feature, as well as some people that run flatbed cutters that use this a lot. Me, when I'm just cutting vinyl, I don't really use that. To the right of that, you have the Separate by Color box. This is very important if you're going to be cutting a multicolor layer design. If you click it, you will see it open up more options on the right side and change the preview as well. If we deselect the Separate Color option, it will open up the Assign Tools by Color. This is something that you can use if you are cutting things that are a different thickness. Maybe you need a different blade for something. Maybe you're running a Graphtec that has 2 blade holder positions. To the left is the Registration Mark box. This is a handy tool for lining up your multicolored designs, but because I'm going to be using Caesar EasyWeed heat transfer vinyl that has a clear backer, I could just line it up by sight with these, and so that's what I'm going to do here. Yes, it does help you line it up, but if you have a color that isn't used much, it will waste a bunch of your vinyl. I was sad that I almost used up all of my matte Caesar Easy Weed. Below you have the Auto Weed box and Auto Speed Weed box. The Auto Weed box will put a big box around all of the images, while the Auto Speed Weed will add smaller boxes around smaller images when possible. Below that we have our text options. Easy Lift Weed marks will put a little J-shaped mark inside of the O's and the other letters with vinyl that need to be removed on the inside of them. Weld text will make sure that all of your text won't have any cut paths that cross each other and it'll chop up your letters or whatnot. This prevents that. It combines all of them into a single vector with connected cut paths. Then finally, Speed Weed text will put a box around each of the text. Always make sure to double check this though when you're doing your speed weeding. When objects are very close together, sometimes those boxes can go through other things by mistake and it actually won't pick up on that. Now that's the left side, let's talk about the right side. But before we do that, let me make sure that I click the separate by color box. And when I do that, up top on the right side, you can see that we have each of the colors listed above. If I click each one, the preview updates down below as well too. Down below the preview, we have a few options. The first is Area Test. This will have your machine run the blade holder across the required area without applying any force. This is also to make sure that you have enough vinyl loaded into the machine and to verify that everything is loaded inside correctly. The next button is the Cut Now button. That will only send the job selected or the selected color to the vinyl spooler and immediately ask you if you would like to start cutting the job. The next button is the Spool All button. It will send all of the available colors to the spooler so that you can select each color and cut from there. Then next to that is the Cancel button, allowing you to quit this and go back to the previous screen. I personally prefer to use the Cut Now button when cutting so that I can look over everything again each time before I cut each color. But please use whichever method works best for you. Alright, so here we are. Just so you know, it's an open mic. There might be a little bit of an echo because I can't put it in my sound box, but that's the downside of recording live. So first we'll start with something basic. We'll start with a sign. And so we'll have this as our background. I'll make it red. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'll switch over here to my objects and I'm just going to copy it. You can see I have two, right? This one, I'm going to make it white. Bring that down. Bring it down like this. And with our white one here, check this out. So bring it down. Let me see. Oh, the white's not going to be there. So let's do a blue. That way we can see it better. All right. Now, don't judge me on the terrible color. Actually, let's go black. Georgia Bulldogs. Go Dogs. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And for the general clip art, is there a bulldog? There's no bulldog, so Georgia Deer. Georgia Deer dogs. All right. We've got our text. I don't know. Deer life, I guess. But let's break it into two. L-I-F-E. So we'll select both of them and we'll go over here, align. Oops, I didn't have both of them selected. Hold shift, click one. God, that's caps lock. Hold shift, click them. There we go. Deer life, just like that. It's not centered though. let's center all this. So we're going to center them to each other. Now let's group this. Objects, or no, arrange, group. That way it's all one. And then oh, okay. So my dear life isn't gonna work. Let's put a new font in here. Again, this is the beautiful doing life, yeah, whatever. Dear life. Well, let's just take these here. Hot dog. Node editing for the win. Alright, so there's my dear life sign. Doing terrible. Alright, there's a reason I don't make signs and you guys do. There's a dear life. Alright. Yeah. There's one terrible sign idea. Here, let me give you one more. So, what I was originally trying to show you. So, we'll do this with a light gray. And we'll make a copy of it. Make this one red. What's my obsession with these colors? I don't know. So we've got our selection tool selected. Use the power tool features. Now check this. Let me find something. All right. A cow. All right, so see this cow here? Let me show you a trick. All right, so I've got my circle here. I'm gonna make a copy of it, Control V it. And now you see the part that's over it? I'm just gonna take it. So see how the cow's head is sticking out, but the rest of the, see how it's like sticking out there, but then it goes behind there? That's all because I just took the power shapes and see, I just slid it. But all I did, took this power shapes and slid it, ugh. All that I did was make a copy of it and then take the top layer and then move it around. That way you can have the cow's head popping out there, but then the rest of it over the top is covering it up, giving it the illusion that it looks like it's kind of popping outside of the circle. So there's something that you can do, and then maybe slap some cool text over it. And wait, we'll call it cow time. Oh man, that's some ugly text. Well, what can we do to fix my ugly text? Well, there's no text tools there, so we'll go here to the text tools here. Change case. We can uppercase all of it. Now here's some other things we can do. We can align it by the center. That means that if we go in there, put an enter there, and then cow time. Cow time. Oh shoot. Put the cow back. Cow time. And we'll change the font. There you go. How's that? That'll get you all the business for your cow business, whatever your cow business may be. All right, so yeah, it's just something that we did really quick. Let's mess around with this a little more. This is terrible. Maybe we'll do some distortions here. You can do the flag. Dear life. That's just me missing home. That actually looks pretty good. Pretty good for a rookie. So yeah, all right, it turned out a little better than I thought. For me, for my terrible designs. Now, what if we have a prism cut or maybe a Vulcan and we want to do cuts with multiple tools? Maybe we're gonna do some creasing and then cutting. So let's just go ahead and move over here. So what I've got here is a box design that I've went ahead and made up. You can see we've got a couple different lines here. You can see these blue lines. They are all contour cut lines. And then these red lines are creases. And I'm going to show you how I did this. Now this is not going to be the best way. There are much better ways to do this than what I'm about to show you. But I'm doing the quick and dirty way here to make a box die. So I found an image of a box die that you could print out and then cut by hand with scissors. Well, rather than do that, I'm just going to perform a contour cut around them. So I'll do the contour cut, trace it. Let's see, tolerance, blah, 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 blah. Looks good. Boom, see, I've got my contour line there, right? I'm happy. That's good. So I've got those, and you can see it only did the contour around the outline of it, and you know, it's not going to be perfect. You can see, you know, it's not a perfect edge there. So, you know, this is just going to be for craft and just to show you how to assign different lines. If you're going to be doing this for a professional box, I suggest that you make it and measure it yourself rather than just do a contour cut like I did here. So with that out of the way, so I've got my contour line around here, right? But you can see, you know, that it didn't put the cuts that I need here or here. That way the box will close properly. So I'm going to have to add a few more lines, and then I'd also am going to have to add all of these fold lines here. So first we're going to start with the crease or the cuts. And I'm going to go down here to my pen tool and then use the line tool. And I'm just going to zoom in where I want the cut to start. Zoom out while I'm doing it using my mouse wheel that I've been talking about the entire time here. Let it go there and see it's still selected. Now I'm just going to go right here and then make it a cut contour. And boom, it's blue, just like this one. All right. So now I need to go and add it down here for this one. Again, using the contour method on this terribly drawn box is not good, but I'm not selling these. I'm just here giving you an example. All right, so we've got it there. Assign it as a cut contour. Boom, there's that. Now let's put in all of our folds. So we're going to have to make all of these our way. So here I go, one at a time. We're going to go across here. But with this one, we're going to make it a fold contour. And the fold contour is red. And now I'm going to do it for every single one of these. Every single one. Not really. I've already done them. I've already done it. And once I finished, I just went ahead and then I deleted that image. And that's how I got it. So that's how I made it. Now, oh, that's the noise there. That's from my chair. Now we need to assign the tools and then start to cut. So how do we do that? Well, highlight everything, right? Then we're going to go over here to our cut, soon to be cut. Now you can see I already have the assigned tools by color. All right, so you can separate by color, or I'm sorry, you can assign tools by color. So I'm going to assign tools by color. And remember, I set the contour cut line and I also set the fold color line. So those are already there. Now I just need to set the tools, because notice there's no default tool set. So the contour cut, I probably got a 45-degree blade in. I'm pretty sure I do. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then your fold, you want to use the fold crease tool. All right. Now, you want to fold usually before you do the contour cut. So you can just click this right here, and that's going to move it up. And there you have it. Now you're ready to go. Of course, we're using the Prism Cut P20. So we'll go ahead and send it to cut now. I don't have it plugged in, so we'll see what happens. Error. So here we are. I'm just going to start it and let it do the creasing. And then once it's done, I'll swap out the tool and put the blade in and then let it start cutting. When I started this video, I had the full intention of covering LTR, Pro, and DSR. But by the time I finished editing the VinylMaster Cut It was 40 minutes long. So I think we're going to cover the other versions of VinylMaster, now that we have the basics down, in another video. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and sign up for our newsletter at USCutter.com. Just scroll down to the bottom of any USCutter.com website and sign up for the newsletter there. So thank you so much for sticking with me through this, and we'll see you in part 2 coming soon.